Hello, welcome to 3 o'clock with SAC. Give me a moment to invite our Spanish-speaking guests. Bienvenido y gracias por ver 3 o'clock con SAC. Si quieres acceso al programa en español, por favor, marque ese número que aparece en la pantalla, cuál es 646-749-3122. Cuando le conteste su llamada, marque 779-328-228. That's uno. Sorry about that. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, and welcome to another episode of our 3 o'clock with SAC live forum. You can also get our simultaneous translation available in English today in the number that we have for you on the screen. It'll also be in our comments. We also want you to know that there is a link to recorded and Spanish versions of our show that you'll find on our YouTube page and also our Facebook archives. A lot of great information. We're going to be doing some reruns of some amazing interviews as well coming up later on in the month. So I know there's great things for all of you. We do want you to know about our SAC survey. It is very important. It helps us plan future forums. You'll find also that link in our comments. Please take a moment to fill it out. We really do look at them. It takes about 3 minutes to complete, and they really are so important for the information that we bring all to you. I want you to know also all of our SAC staff is working safely from home. I'm here right now in my living room. All of us right now are making sure that we're not meeting with anyone in person, but you can always get a hold of us via phone, via email, our website, YouTube, or Instagram pages. You'll also find that information in our comments. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Also, you can get our phone at 414-672-8090. Today, I have some great staff help me out. Maria Perea is our producer. Marlene Zaran is helping us with guest support today. We also have Travis Hope in our comments. And later on, we'll have an interview with Tammy Rivera, our lead organizer and our executive director. Quick disclaimer, I want you all to know that the views and opinions shared in today's show do not necessarily reflect those of SAC. Some other announcements I have. Today is Organizing Leadership and Community Development Day. We're so excited to have our next guest. Ryan Clancy will be coming on to discuss the right to shelter resolution with the County Board Supervisory. We're so excited for that. Next week, we have a lot of great, amazing guests for you as well. Jacobo Lovo from Latino Arts will be coming to talk about arts and social justice on Monday. Wednesday, my dear friend Melinda Hughes from the Benedict Center will be coming for our Youth Day to discuss trafficking and prostitution awareness. Very important, especially in these cold months, to know about that. Wednesday, another good friend of mine, Israel Ramon, he's been newly elected after being appointed as our Register of Deeds for Milwaukee County. He'll be here to discuss any updates with Register of Deeds and any COVID-19 things that we should be aware of. Thursday, we have Jacqueline Zeldon, Community Outreach and Internal Communications Coordinator with MCTS. So excited for that. And then on Friday, we'll have 16th Street AIDS Outreach Prevention Coordinator Pedro Perez coming to talk about AIDS Awareness Month. All right, I think I'm going to check in real quick. We have some great highs from our youth organizers. We love them. Elondia, we see you. So good. Ariana, we see Isaiah. Maria de Jesus, good to see you. Kimberly is there. Diana, Jasmine, we love seeing our super fans and our youth organizers. We're so excited for you to hear the next interview. We're going to go ahead and turn it over to Tammy Rivera.
Gracias, Andrea. Great job. Folks, we're glad you're here with us, making it on a Friday. Today, we had our staff holiday celebration, and I have to tell you, we have a great team here, and I'm so proud of the group of elves that organized it, but also how much care and friendship and teamwork there is among the staff. And so happy holidays to them, and a great big thank you for this very challenging year. With that, help me to welcome Supervisor Clancy of the 4th District of the county on the forum.
Hi there. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hola, welcome. Glad to have you, especially the content that we're going to be talking about. But I think it's your first time on the forum, am I right?
It is, yeah. I mean, I love the work that SAC does. I'm just honored to be here. So thanks.
Welcome, welcome. So we'd like to help our residents, our neighbors understand the roles of the guests who are with us and then what their organizations do. Can you give folks a sense of what is the main focus of county supervisors and what are some of the functions that you cover? There's usually confusion between like what the city and the county does for our residents, but maybe you could share a little bit about your role and then a little bit about the board in general.
Absolutely. I'll try to give you kind of the 2-minute version.
Sure, yes.
County supervisors are essentially the equivalent of alders on the city level. So the alder or the city has a mayor, then it has alders. The county, which is a little bit larger geographically, has the county executive, and then we function as supervisors. So a lot of what we do is oversight over transit and parks and kind of some of the things that most people associate with the county. A big part of our responsibility is the county budget, which is over $1 billion. We just wrapped up the budget season, and it was my first time participating in a budget, at least in this depth, as an elected, and it was interesting. So we can certainly go more into that later. There are 18 county supervisors throughout Milwaukee County. District 4, which is the one that I represent, is parts of the near-south side, as well as parts of Bayview. It's kind of a very disparate district. I love representing it because there are so many different folks within District 4.
Good stuff. And it always helps folks understand who to go to for what topics and in what areas that they live in. How about let's talk about the right to shelter now. Let's give people an understanding. It's so timely because the season is getting cold and we're in a year of the pandemic. So we're expecting or anticipating a large spike in those folks who are homeless. And I'd like to hear if that's indeed what we think is happening, and then what's the response. So please share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and you're totally right. I mean, it seems like every year, in the Milwaukee area, whether it's the city or the county, things start getting cold, and we look around and we're like, oh, it's winter again, and we still haven't done anything permanent for the many folks who don't have, safe, reliable housing in the Milwaukee area. Last winter, that kind of came to a head. I don't know if you or many of your listeners remember the Wilson Park Senior Center, where
Yes.
folks were they used it as a warming room. It was the right thing to do, but the way that was sort of sprung on some of the folks who traditionally used that senior center, I think, rubbed a lot of folks the wrong way. What other municipalities have done, and what I spearheaded here in Milwaukee County, was declaring an absolute right to shelter, to say that if you, there actually is no if. If you need shelter, you can have it in Milwaukee County. We had originally thought about putting that forward just during the winter months, but it really seemed like the right thing to do to say, if you need shelter in Milwaukee County, you can have it. There are no qualifications for it. We did ultimately pass that, and it was passed unanimously on November 5th. And what the resolution at the county level said was that everybody has the right to shelter. It also created 2 positions. So the homeless outreach folks at the county are fantastic. They're really, really good at what they do, but they also work from about 8 in the morning, well, sometimes earlier, to about 3, sometimes a little later. That means that throughout a big chunk of the day, they really can't reach everybody. During the colder night hours, we really needed folks to have kind of second or even third shift positions to get people to shelter.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I mean, it's at night, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. So that the right to shelter resolution created 2 positions from kind of a city county cooperation, and it again, and this is really important, said that everybody has that right. 4 days later, unfortunately, we as a body refused to fund several amendments which would have given significantly more money towards homeless outreach. And that was perhaps the most frustrating part of the budget process for me. It doesn't mean that we're giving up. It doesn't mean that I'm giving up, but we'll certainly find ways, hopefully, to continue to fund that. But at this point, there is kind of a big gap between what the county has said is a right, and our, I guess, political will to fund it.
Yeah, that's not untypical for folks who are listening in, that some type of legislation gets passed, but the real teeth for a legislation is for it to be funded in order to be enacted. And so we have seen that in this nation and locally time after time, where we get there's a battle and a huge victory, but there's still a time lapse when things can be implemented. What type of funds are needed to make the okay, first of all, the right to shelter, as you said, anybody who needs shelter should be able to have it. But who does it identify as responsible for providing it?
Sure. Yeah, and that's just it. So the resolution said that ultimately it's the responsibility of the county, but working with our colleagues at the city, working with some really phenomenal organizations in the area too. So Street Angels, there are other folks out there doing this work day in and day out. So the right to shelter resolution should form a basis that we can work from. It was really frustrating to me to see that. I mean, you're totally accurate. And often what the state will do is pass like an unfunded mandate that then falls on the back of the city or the county. It's a little bit more unusual for the city or the county themselves to declare something and then refuse to fund it fully, just so this is kind of the beginning, I think, of a much longer struggle. Ultimately, it should be the responsibility of the county and of the city. We're both providing those services, but we need to struggle to make the difficult fiscal decisions to reallocate money towards homeless outreach and towards longer term shelter for folks too.
And what are we thinking that's going to cost, Supervisor Clancy?
Yeah, so
what's the ticket on that?
You bet. The three amendments that didn't make it through the budget process related to homelessness. There was $200,000 for flexible funds. Housing and urban development folks like that have funds available, but what this would have done was essentially put money into the pockets of the folks doing the really good outreach at the county level. So that if somebody needed, first and last month's rent, if they were having problems, with utilities, if they were, facing other obstacles to getting shelter, so they were recently incarcerated, this would help us get folks into to safe shelter or to keep them there. So if somebody, had a job that they're just a little bit behind, they're facing eviction, this would be something that would put money towards that to keep folks from being, on the streets or sleeping in their cars in the first place, which is really a much more efficient use of funds and a much more humane way to do it. But $61,000 would have gone to create one more position that would have worked with landlords and tenants and potential tenants. Often landlords are hesitant to rent to folks who have been, recently incarcerated or have other obstacles to housing. And this would have been one to not only bridge the gap there, but to do some kind of longer term education. And the third one would have been $100,000 to look at expanding the use of existing county facilities. So the county has, through the Parks Department, for instance, has about 400 buildings. A lot of those are in disrepair. A lot of those aren't utilized well. So this would look at things like parks buildings and senior centers to figure out how to make them more accessible to folks experiencing homelessness.
And what would be the qualifying, requirements for someone, once this gets settled in? What does it mean, to qualify for the right to shelter?
And that's a really important one, for me too. I mean, whether we look at, recent, federal financial aid or, city or county programs, sometimes it comes down to a person's citizenship or their tax records or things like that to go through. There should be no qualifications to this. So if somebody needs emergency shelter, and it looks different, during a pandemic versus not. When we don't have a pandemic, that's, kind of a base level congregate shelter, so warming rooms, basically a cot to sleep in and hopefully some food to eat. During a pandemic, it looks like a hotel room, essentially. There should be no qualifications to that. So the right to shelter really should be absolute. There's nobody's interest is served in, making folks prove that they need emergency shelter. Nobody's out there trying to scam the system and trying to sleep at a shelter if they don't need to.
And what's the anticipated future of all this? What's the best guess of what moves, what, the needle move forward in that the profession, it's a professed value. What do we think will happen, or what are the next steps here?
Sure. I would say in the short term, I'm going to try to find ways to pay for these existing resolutions as best as I can, and we need public support for that. Longer term, we need to have some conversations as a community around what we value. So the reason, frankly, that these three things related to homelessness failed was that they were taking money away from the sheriff's department overtime budget and then putting it towards homelessness. And that was what the community, by and large, said they wanted. In every listening session about the budget, in the county's own balancing act tool, which asked folks to kind of balance the budget and asked them where they wanted the money, it was clear about 70% of people wanted the budget to be balanced by taking money away from the sheriff's department and putting it towards human needs like housing, like parks, like mental health. And as a board, we did not do that. We funded some good things, but we funded them with debt. And my colleagues on the board actually added $150,000 to the extremely large sheriff's department during the budget process. So it was frustrating for me to see that. Since we decided to fund it with debt, it means that next year when we look at the budget, we're going to be talking about which parks to abandon entirely, how many people we're okay with letting sleep on the streets or in their cars. We have some really dire decisions to make, because this year we were spared some of that because of some of those federal CARES Act dollars that we saw. We can't count on those for next year. So I'm afraid that next year's budget is going to be even more dire.
Yeah, and for folks who aren't familiar with what CARES Act is, it's the money that was sent in response to the pandemic. So we have a little more money to work with in our community in response to the pandemic, which can also be applied to homelessness. Supervisor Clancy, so we've talked about this on the forum before, I believe, which is that Milwaukee itself is rent burdened, meaning that we have a housing crisis as a full community, and rent burden has to do with paying more than what's typical, the percent of your budget for housing, and then that housing being available. And just to lay a backdrop for the folks listening today, our whole community is in a housing crisis. It is rent burdened. I believe the marker is like you're supposed to pay 30 or 33% of your budget to housing. And we have folks paying 60% in many areas of their whole budget. And what's the problem with that? Well, the problem is that people are living paycheck to paycheck to try to survive, often under, overworked, underpaid, taking on more than one job, and they still can't make ends meet, which can easily put them in a situation where they can't pay their rent and then they get evicted. And once they're evicted, other people don't want to pick them up, other landlords. And so it's a compounded vicious cycle. But the whole backdrop to that is that we have a community that cannot afford, for the most part, as a whole, housing. And is there anything at the county level that can be done about the backdrop? Because homelessness is a symptom of the housing crisis.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, that question, kind of putting it in that larger context, right? So homelessness doesn't just happen. It doesn't just, you don't wake up one day and not have shelter. There's a couple of underlying issues there. The closest one to it, I think, is the eviction crisis. And there's an eviction moratorium on right now, and there was one, statewide as well. Those are not absolute, and those really only cover people when they've prepared a statement and when they know their rights as a tenant. One of the things that I was able to get through the budget process was a pilot program, exploring a pilot program for the right to counsel. And this is if you are facing eviction. For right now, the pilot program would cover anybody with minor children within Milwaukee County. If you're facing eviction in Milwaukee County, you have the right to have an attorney provided for you so that you can push back on that. Because too many times we see unscrupulous landlords that bully people into leaving a property, even when they have the right to stay, and when there really isn't a good reason to kick them out. And you're right, that starts a cycle where once somebody's evicted, they go through that process, and it's very difficult often for them to get quality, housing in the future. The other one, and this is a much bigger question too, is folks not making enough money to, as you said, to afford rent. So we can try to keep rent low, and I think that's a valid concern. Another thing we need to do is try to get wages higher. So my background is working in the service industry, where many folks there are making a sub minimum wage. So in Wisconsin, that's only $2.33 an hour, and then people make tips on top of that. Employers are supposed to reimburse you the difference there if you don't make it. But there are many people working for sub minimum wage, that $2.33 an hour. One of the things we're trying to put together in the next couple of weeks here is a program to encourage employers who are paying the sub minimum wage now not to do that, not to take the tip credit, and to pay a full minimum wage with tips on top, both to people who are serving and then to people working in the back of house or in kitchens. What we really want to see is everybody's wages made more consistent and then raised across the board, so they do have more income available for food and housing and all those basic necessities. So the idea during the pandemic is to provide grants for, we call them high road employers, who are willing to pay the full minimum wage plus tips. They'd get paid about $10 per meal, and they would provide free meals to the community to help us get through this pandemic, and also to try to bolster the incomes of their employees. They would be eligible for this if they committed to going full minimum wage plus tips within 5 years, even after the pandemic.
And where can folks, who do folks contact if they're homeless?
So there's the folks at the county doing outreach are absolutely phenomenal. So I can probably get you that information to post or whatever.
Yeah, we know right now. Generally, we refer people to 211. Mm-hmm. They call 211, which is like the central hub of where folks can call if they need food or shelter or other help, non-emergency help. Sometimes folks, giving you a heads up, you have to be a little determined to get through the line. And also we field calls all the time and do referrals. And right now, folks are needing to really stay on the case of getting into shelter. So you might have to do some extra follow-up and stuff with organizations because the system seems to be more backed up than usual, which is to be expected because of the pandemic. Let's let folks know, can they call? Can they, people residents who speak Spanish, are they able to get in contact with you, Supervisor Clancy?
Absolutely, yeah. There are folks at the county who speak Spanish and can get those messages to me. And 211 is a good resource for those immediate needs. Hopefully, we're going to have folks increasingly following up with people to make sure that it's going beyond just a couple of days. And the folks at the county doing homeless outreach are phenomenal at that.
Yeah, it's really a challenge right now. We've been working with a couple of families, and it's been really challenging. And then, is there a cost to anybody to reach out to a county supervisor? We want to make that clear to folks.
Absolutely not. No, no county supervisor should ever ask you for anything really, except maybe your information to follow up. So
so you can always call your county supervisor, and you, generally speaking, you should be able to get into housing without fees being charged anything. Are there any other things you'd like to share with folks today you think they should know going into the winter or holiday season?
Absolutely. So I would encourage you, if this is an issue that's important to you, or there are other ones countywide, I'd encourage you to reach out to your county supervisor, have a relationship going, so that when our budget season comes around again next year, you can call them up or email them and leverage that relationship, because we really do need community advocates like yourself to be a voice for some of these budget priorities.
Yeah, we have to make things happen, folks. We have to dig in. Supervisor Clancy, thank you for being with us. Thank you for the work you're doing to ensure people are not homeless, because in Milwaukee, you cannot survive winters being homeless. So we really appreciate those efforts.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for your work.
Be safe.
Yeah, you too.
We're going to turn the program back to Andrea. Thank you, folks, for being with us, and be safe.
Gracias so much for that wonderful interview. And as they mentioned earlier, COVID-19 has brought so many realities to our forefront, and there's definitely many families that are one paycheck away from not having any housing. I also wanted to remind you that there is a One Milwaukee task force that was approved in February of 2020, and what that is bringing or actually taking away the silos of Milwaukee County, City of Milwaukee, and MPS, having them all work together. And I'm crossing my fingers that they also are going to deal with this issue, because housing is so important, and we definitely have a lot of vulnerable residents that we need to be watching out for. And Chair Marcelia Nicholson from the Milwaukee County, she proposed that, another dear friend, so hopefully we can have her on the forum and we can hear more details soon. All right, I'm going to check in with some of you. Oh my goodness, so happy to see Amanda Avalos, Commissioner Amanda Avalos. She is also a commissioner for the Safety and Civic Commission, recently now put on our Fire and Police Commission. We're so excited. She's a dear friend of SOC, and we love her leadership. We also want to say hola to Maria, hola to Leroy, Angel, Juan, Lucas. So excited to see all of you. Thank you for joining us. Oh, there's my cat in the background. Sorry. That's Carlin, by the way. And also, I want to highlight the fact that Travis, who's in the comments today, put in the links for Impact 211, also Housing First, and Community Advocates. Thank you, Travis, for putting in that information. So one click away for all of you. We're going to go ahead next with the coronavirus update. It's going to be an update on COVID-19 numbers in Milwaukee.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to 3 o'clock with SOC. My name is Marlene Zaran. I am the current SOC Public Health Coordinator. I will be talking about the current COVID-19 numbers within the Milwaukee County. So this is excluding Oak Creek and other counties around us, and only counting Milwaukee numbers. So we're going to start off with the 7 days. So in the last 7 days, we've had increased positive cases of 1,358. The total number of deaths since the pandemic began was 407 deaths. In the past 7 days, the highest community that has had the most cases is the Black or African American community at 433 cases. The white community came in second with 29.3%, or 395 cases. The Hispanic or Latino OAX community came in third, which is at 25.9% of cases and 349. The Asian community had 71 cases, which is 5.3%. Those who stated unknown for race or ethnicity, there has been 64 cases and 4.7% of those cases. For those that stated they were other for race and ethnicity, there has been a total of 32 cases and 2.4%. And those that stated they are American Indian or Alaska Native, there has been a total of 6 cases, and they are at 0.4% of the total. So we'll go here and we'll look at each county. So each zip code. So we're going to zoom into the map. And here you'll see that the 53215 zip code is essentially, if you zoom out and look at Milwaukee as a whole, it's the only red zone zip code, the only hotspot within the entire Milwaukee County. This means that our cases are higher than they're supposed to be per population that's living within that zip code. The total number of cases in the past week have been 180 total cases in the 53215 zip code, putting us in the hot zone. The 53204 zip code is at 136 cases. So this zip code has actually decreased in the number of total COVID-19 positive rates of COVID-19 in the past week. So it's gone down to yellow. If you can see here, this is the ranking. So here's red, here's green, and the middle is around yellow. So it's decreased in the number of cases so far. If you look at age range, if you see here, the highest number of cases was in 25 to 34-year-olds at 330 total, which is 24.3%. The second highest coming in is 15 to 24-year-olds, which is a total of 241 cases at 17.7%. And coming in third is the 35 to 44-year-old age range at 219 cases, or 16.1%. So those are the highest. And as you can see here, the total number of cases is going up on a daily basis. Of course, Thanksgiving did have a huge surge in the number of cases in Milwaukee. And so that is why the Public Health Department has now reverted back to 50% capacity for their new public health order. So that means bars and restaurants will now be at 50% capacity, and then sports and other sports-related activities will now need to have a plan, a health plan in place, and a routine checkup for COVID-19 if you are going to be playing in those activities. That is my COVID-19 update for you guys for today, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our Public Health Coordinator, Marlene Zaran, for that informative update. Please make sure you're wearing your mask. Please make sure that you're social distancing. Those of us in Milwaukee County, and also especially 53215, we're clearly not out of the woods yet. So please be mindful of each other and be safe out there. Next, we're going to have a civic engagement update from Gabe Charles. It's going to be a video about election certification signing.
Administrator Wolf is present, and she is the Chief Elections Officer of the state of Wisconsin. Administrator Wolf, has the Wisconsin Elections Commission received certified canvass statements from the 70 counties that were not subject to recount?
Yes, we have.
Has the Wisconsin Elections Commission received certified canvass statements from Dane and Milwaukee counties as issued subsequent to their recounts?
Yes, we have.
And as to each of those 72 canvass statements, did the Wisconsin Elections Commission, as my designee, review each of those canvass statements?
Yes, we have completed the review of all 72 statements.
Did any of the canvass statements have a material mistake in the computation of votes?
Any errors that were identified during the initial canvass were brought to the attention of the county, who then reconvened to correct their mistakes. The statement before you was canvassed and no errors were identified.
Did any canvass statement demonstrate a failure to canvass votes or omit votes from any ward or election district?
Again, any errors that were identified during our initial canvass were brought to the attention of the county, who then reconvened to correct their mistakes. And the statement that's before you was canvassed and no errors were identified.
Has a statement been prepared by the Wisconsin Election Commission as my designee, which declares the total number of votes cast for the office of president in the November 3rd, 2020 election?
Yes, it has.
And is that document entitled Statement of Canvass for President, Vice President, and Presidential Electors, General Election, November 3rd, 2020?
Yes, that's correct. That's the document that you have.
I have examined this statement, and I am now signing it as the official state determination of the results of the November 3rd, 2020 election and the canvass. This document now has my signature on it. No certificates of election pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 7.70 sub 5 sub A will be issued today. Those certificates will be issued as a part of the Elections Commission meeting tomorrow. I will now scan this document and immediately deliver it to the Wisconsin Elections Commission to be filed and recorded in its office. This is the conclusion of the state canvass for the state of Wisconsin. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you so much to Gabe Charles for preparing that video for us. I know it seemed like a really long process for us to certify this vote. As an educator, I really do appreciate the fact of seeing all of it live and seeing every little nuance of the process, because really it's interesting to see exactly what is happening after you actually submit your ballot. So I'm thankful we can make it all public and make sure it's all very fair. I'm gonna see some hellos again in our comments. We have some great links there from Travis Hope. Please make sure you're clicking on them. I don't see anything new, but we know you're out there, and we really appreciate you sharing our show or tagging your friends if you feel they can benefit from the information from today. Let's see. Next up, I'm excited to have on my buddy Travis Hope, our community organizer. He's going to discuss a Southside food drive coming up. Hey, Trav.
Hi, everybody. So I know we talked about it before, but we're just trying to keep pushing it. So from now till December 18th, we're gonna be collecting food. There's the flyers in English and Spanish. God Touch Milwaukee and the Milwaukee Police Department District 2, along with other partners, are just gonna be gathering food. You can drop them off at those locations: 245 West Lincoln Avenue, which is District 2, or 1501 West Lincoln Avenue, which is God's Touch. And you can drop the food items off there. And then on the 22nd, it will be distributed on 1501 West Lincoln Avenue in God Touch parking lot. It'll be distributed to neighbors and people that want to come and pick up food. So we're trying to collect as much food as possible. I know times are tough, but I would like to just challenge everybody. If you could donate 3 to 5 items that maybe you have in your pantry, dry goods, non-perishable. We're just trying to get food out to the neighborhood. Maybe it's some food that you got from somewhere that your family don't eat it. Maybe you can, re-put it back out, donate it, so we can get it back out there to neighbors and families that need food in this time, just before Christmas. So again, if you can donate food anytime at those 2 locations, they have drop-off boxes, so it's non-contact. Please do so. Like I said, I'm challenging everybody. I'm going to be reaching out to everybody I know, challenging them and asking them to please donate. So once again, that's District 2 and God's Touch Milwaukee, and they're both on Lincoln Avenue. And just go drop it off, and on the 20th till the 18th, and then on the 22nd, we will be distributing the food out into the neighborhood. So that's a good thing. And then also, I just want to do a quick recap on some other stuff we talked about on Tuesday with the safety and the parking. The signs that say December on it, you got to keep an eye on that because it is December 1st. So you got to look out for winter parking regulations. Also, if you see any street lights out, because it's getting dark at 5 o'clock, any street lights you see out, report it. Just use the nearest house address to the pole, to the light pole. You can call 286-CITY, which is 286-2489, and just report it, and then they'll try to get out there and figure out what the issues are. Also, another thing is, in the wintertime, don't leave nothing in your car of value. Even if you don't think it's of value, somebody else might, especially right now. So don't leave nothing in your car, and don't leave your car running. Please don't leave your keys in your car to run, even though it's getting colder, because your car will be stolen. So try to just take some of these safety tips with the winter coming, and just know your surroundings, and just, be safe. And once again, I just challenge everybody, if you can spare any food you can that's non-perishable, please take it to 2nd District Police Station, 245 West Lincoln Avenue, and then God's Touch Milwaukee, which is 1501 West Lincoln Avenue. So thank you very much. Hope to see some a lot of people bringing in food so we can get out to the neighbors. Thank you.
Gracias, Travis. We appreciate that update. All right, we are getting close to the show, and like Travis mentioned, I'm sure we have a Facebook post and we'll have some information for you on how you can donate. So please look for that. We also had Pastor Marty Calderon recently on the show from God's Touch Milwaukee. They do incredible things here on the South Side. I know they're also going to be doing some caroling soon, if that's the kind of thing you're into. So please reach out and make sure that you're donating. Up next, we're going to have a SOC survey promo.
Has this live forum been informative and useful to you? What part of the forum could be improved or changed to make it better? Please take a quick survey that's located in the comments section so that we can keep 3 o'clock with SOC going for residents. Thank you for tuning in.
Here we are, another Friday. We all got done with our live forum. We have an incredible week coming up for you guys next week. Jacobo Lobo from Latino Arts will be coming on Monday to discuss arts and social justice. Tuesday, Melinda Hughes from the Sisters Diversion Project in the Benedict Center will come to discuss on Tuesday trafficking and prostitution awareness. Wednesday, we have newly elected Milwaukee County Register of Deeds, Israel Ramon, coming to discuss any COVID-19 updates with the Registry of Deeds. Thursday, we'll have Jacqueline Zeldon, Community Outreach and Internal Communications Coordinator from MCTS. And then on Friday, we're going to be discussing AIDS Awareness Month with 16th Street Clinic's AIDS Outreach Prevention Coordinator, Pedro Perez. So again, another huge week coming up. Please don't miss it. We're always here at 3 o'clock, and we love giving you these updates, and we love interacting with you. We appreciate you all, and next we'll do some funder and partner thank yous. Bye, everyone.
Thank you to our sponsor, Wisconsin Boys, Community Development Block Grant, Neo Philanthropy State Infrastructure Fund, Mudman Board Project, Catholic Campaign for Human Development, Silver Foundation, City of Milwaukee Office of Violence Prevention, Thai Foundation, City of Milwaukee Promised Son, all the faithful individuals who support SAC through the personal donation. Thank you, thank you, thank you.